All right, so there's my first base. The reason why I offset this centerpiece is because the two sides of this are only going to be 15 3/4 inches deep, and so I wanted the back to be able to rest on top of that brace back there. So now I'm going to come along here and make my long base. All right, so my base is done. This is a super tight, snug fit, which is exactly what I want. So now I am going to start building my cabinet carcass. Okay, so I'm going to start by building out my appliance cabinet first. I got these melamine boards from Home Depot. These ones are 15 3/4 inches deep, and I think those are the deepest ones they carry, but I could be wrong. They were the deepest ones they had. So building a cabinet is really simple. It's basically just building a box. So I'm going to cut out I have my plywood here. I'm going to cut out a square that I'm going to attach to the bottom and to the top, and then I'm going to screw it all together. All right, so I have this 1/4 inch plywood, and I'm using that for backing on this box that I just built. As you can see, I went through with screws and screwed it all in. This will also help it be more stable. And then this is just going to be dead space back here because I only had 15 3/4 inch shelving, and that's fine because it'll be plenty of it. You don't want it too deep. So now let's go put it on the wall. All right, the first cabinet is in. Before I put this in there, I used my stud finder. Where is it? I used my stud finder to find out where the studs were, and then I measured it from the wall out so that I could secure it with nails to a stud. I will be painting over those, so they won't be as noticeable. I also went in with some nails back here and secured it to these bases. I also found my studs and secured the base to the walls. All right, so I've cut my piece for the side here that's going to cover up that gap in the back. And you guys, this is a perfectly square piece, but look at this. You see that? That is pretty significant. What that means is that my wall is not straight. So this is all the way up against the wall, but the bottom is protruding out and like 2 inches or something. So what I've done is I put it up next to it and I drew a line where I need to cut, and then I'm going to take it outside again and cut it along that angle and then come back and put it up. Okay, much better. Now it's straight. I mean, it's not straight. Okay, so my daughters were playing in here and they pushed on the back of that and it popped it out, and I had already put that on, so I had to pop this off, and then I went back in and I put some supports that are going to hold this on. I just screwed them into the studs in the back. So it's actually kind of a good thing that happened, because if I had already moved my cabinet in, it would have been a lot more work to fix that if it happened later on. Looking good. I'm going to show you tonight. All right, so when I brought this in yesterday and put it up on top of my base, I realized that it was way too tall because I didn't take into account the 3.5 inches that my base would add to it. So this total is 37 inches, which is what I want, but 3.5 on top of that thing. So and also another problem. These are my two sections that are gonna have drawers in them. And this is gonna go against the wall, but on the wall I wanna put a food can organizer holder thing that I'm gonna build. And so I don't want my drawers pulling out and banging into it. So I have got to rework this whole thing. So I am going to actually cut these down 3.5 inches and then put the top on. And then I'm actually also going to move these so that my drawers are going to be on this side. So what that means is it shouldn't be too difficult. I just need to take out all my screws. The only problem that that's going to have is that when I move these, I'm going to have holes for my screws coming in through the top. It's no big deal. I can just wood filler over them and I will paint them, sand them and paint them, and you won't even be able to tell. Okay, whew, it's in. So these are gonna be drawers, remember? So I wasn't too worried about screws showing up right there. I just drove them into my base. And then I actually took off the face frame and the front piece because I am replacing them with this. This is a solid piece of pine, and I'm gonna do the whole face frame in pine. And this is also pine. Okay, so here's a little money saving tip. So on front of this piece, I'm going to be putting baseboard. And I don't want to put it there with this gap. So I'm just going to use a piece of plywood that's the same thickness as this and just stick it in there to fill it in. The reason I'm doing that is because I could have bought one of these, but these are $12. These ones are $6, and I want this edge here, so it was worth it to me to get that. So I just saved $6 by not doing a thicker board and just filling this in, because all of this is going to be hidden anyway.